Hey everybody, it's Bryce, aka Shadow Beats. And today I'm making a video on bridges. Now, it was requested by Damon, and he wanted me to cover more on R&B, and I will. But I also want to cover all bases, so you get a good idea what bridges are. And to most of you, it's probably something you already know, and to some of you, it could be brand new. And everybody, even as a music listener, are familiar with bridges, even if we don't know exactly what they are. We've heard them, and we can point them out. Now, what is a bridge? Well, a bridge is a piece or segment in the song structure that allows you to do multiple things with the song. This allows you to transition and change your song into something totally epic and great. It's brand new, or just even to bring it back into a certain feel or vibe that was previously brought throughout the song. Now, how does the bridge affect you or your music? Well, it affects multiple things within music. The beat maker, the producer, the artist, and even the listener. The bridge, as a beat maker, affects your music because not only when you're making that beat can you use that bridge to transition into new pieces and parts, you can take ideas and more creativity and even a whole brand new other beat that you were working on a project, a whole different project or other beat, and make it a part of that beat now. So a bridge can really transition things like that. As a producer, it allows you to bring more messages and ideas across throughout a song with the artist that you're working with, as well as be able to change the structure of the song to keep your listener in. As an artist, it allows you, of course, to bring more of your ideas and the message that you're trying to bring across in the song. Now, as a listener as well, the bridge affects the listener because it brings the listener in. It allows the listener to stay in tune with what's going on. A bridge can ruin a song from becoming too boring for a listener. It can switch up and change up to keep that listener into your song, so you can still bring your message across that you're trying to bring in throughout that song. Now, what is the purpose of a bridge? Well, we kind of already covered that, but let's more and more detail that. The purpose of the bridge itself has multiple purposes. There's not just one. It can do multiple things. It can, like I said, it can bring a song up to a climax. And after that climax that bridge is bringing up to, drop it back into a hook to a totally brand new song, or just to keep a message along that you're trying to carry. It can also drop down, meaning the bridge can bring you down into another segment of the song, or into another drop, or into another idea or piece that you're trying to bring across the song. A lot of people mistaken, bridges for drops, because they're pretty much the same thing, except for a drop is either usually the climax or to bring in to a new piece of the song. Now, how do we build bridges? That's a good question, right? Because what do we do to make that bridge fit? Because a bridge it's a big question mark when you start out. It's a big, long question mark. Why? Because we don't know what we want that bridge to sound like. We don't know how we want it to lead up, if we want it to drop or fall, or even yet to figure out how that bridge is going to segment into the next piece, if we have yet to even figure out the next piece. So, the big basis of building a bridge is we have to cover the theory and the musical side. The theory is, of course, what are we doing with the bridge? Are we building it up? Are we rising it? Or are we dropping it? And the musical side will be affected because of that. So we don't even have to talk about specifically what we want to do with the bridge exactly. We just need to know what we want to do with it as far as building it. So therefore, when we build it, we need to know what previous key our song was already in prior to that bridge and what key we're bringing it into. Now our previous key, let's say it's in the key of C major. So we know since it's in the key of C major, we need to know what's the scale of C major. Once we know our scale of C major, we need to know what bits and pieces of that scale match into what we want to lead it into. But we also need to make sure what we lead our song into, the segment, carries pieces from that C major scale, because otherwise these two totally different songs may not match. Sometimes you can pull it off if that song or segment of the song that you're bringing the bridge into carries familiarities in the bridge with that segment, as well as that bridge carrying familiarities with the previous segment of the song. But usually that ends up leading into keys and scales that are intertwined within each other. So that's why I'm saying, when you are building a bridge, you want to have pieces of the first, song structure segment in the bridge to match with pieces over there with our scales. So therefore, once we've done that and created our melody and our chords, we've actually successfully built a bridge. Now, where do we place the bridge? That's the biggest question after building it, is where the hell am I going to put it? And that could be a very big good question mark too. Question mark too, especially because there's two parts to that. There's two ways you can, place your bridge, especially when you're building your beat, because the bridge can be built based upon working with the artist, and that's a lot easier because when you're working with the artist and you know where his lyrics are at and you know where he wants to put his little extra ideas and pieces to build a bridge to, you know where to put it at on that song. But it's a lot harder when you're making it by yourself. So I'm going to lay it basic for you to make it the easiest way ever so you understand bridges. And that is, don't worry about where to place it. Why? Because honestly, bridges can go anywhere in the song. Anywhere, completely anywhere. As long as it's in between a chorus and a verse, or intro or outro, from intro to a verse, or intro to a hook, or hook to an outro, or verse to an outro, which is not usually common, but you get the idea. It can be placed anywhere in the song, literally anywhere you want it to be put. You can throw a bridge in there. Why? Because it is meant to transition, meaning it leads into another point, or connecting one part to the song back to another. Literally, you can make a song with all same verses and hooks and throw bridges in between them, and it can bring in the listener. But as well, you can use that bridge, to lead into a new segment. So, commonly in R&B music, when we listen to it, bridges are usually, in between maybe the second and third verse, or closer to the end of the chorus or the hook, or sometimes even on the outro to lead into another track, especially in albums, to bring a point to another song that this song is part of this song. So, where do we place it? Like I said, you just want to know the idea of where you want to build, where you want your song to build, where you want to transition that to bring that listener in. And that's where you can really confuse a bridge with a drop, because a drop, it does the same exact thing. It transitions into another piece of the song, but the bridge itself is a true melody and chord set, meaning it is its own entity within the song, unlike a drop, where a drop is part of the previous song. It is literally, when you hear a drop, it's part of the previous song building up, where this part of the previous song in a bridge is now completely changed into something totally new to bring into the other part of the song. So where we place it is where we want it, but where we want it is where we want to put it right. So you got to focus and really think. And it's going to take a lot of thinking here. And bridges aren't easy when it comes to making them on your own and making your own beat with a bridge in it. Because you got to decide how it's going to go and what it's going to stand for. And what part is going to make most sense within your beat to put that bridge. So, therefore, you need to focus on what part of your song, or structure of your beat is going to build up, especially in R&B music, because you can only play so much of the R&B loops and, verses and choruses before they get boring, before they get repetitive. So generally when I put a, bridge in with an R&B song, I usually myself, I'm very unorthodox, so it means I'm not very textbook, but at the same time, I understand textbook very well, so I kind of use the best of both worlds, and me, myself, I usually tend to feel the vibe and see where the general area of that bridge should be. So, let's say, you're making a beat, you got your first verse, intro, chorus, first verse, so forth, and you're going through, you got you're going on your second verse, and it starts to get a little bit repetitive, and you start putting drops and different EQs and filters throughout those verses and whatnot to keep the listener going. But you just need that little touch. That little touch is that spot where you want to put that bridge at, and that bridge will change totally how that listener views that song and how you build that song. You can even change the song itself, and even make you want to reconstruct the beat into something new. So it can be a very helpful tool, and it can also be a very creative thing. Now, how do bridges work in R&B music? Well, basically, bridge works in R&B music as a climax point or a dropping down point, like in literally the song Climax by Usher. He literally, the producer and Usher uses a bridge in the song. I can't sing myself, but I will say what the lyrics are. He continuously repeatedly says at all, and it builds up back into his chorus. But during that time, it's literally, if you listen to the song, it is a totally different song at that point. There is nothing same from the original beat that is in that point, and that's what makes it a bridge compared to a drop. So therefore, when it's building up and he's saying it all, you can hear it climaxing until it hits its final point, and then it drops down back into the hook. Now that's one version of a bridge. Also, like I said before, a bridge can change into a brand new song. And that's where, you can confuse a bridge with a drop, because a drop can also change into a brand new song. So, in R&B music, it's usually a climax tool into either to bring back the listener back to the chorus of the song or into another verse. But 95% of the time, it's a climax tool. But it also can be a dropping tool or a transitioning tool. But there's not many very R&B songs that use it as a transitioning to a wholly, totally different, segment of song structure. As far as how it sounds, what sounds you're using, melodies, chords, and notes. It usually doesn't do that. So that's how it mainly works in R&B music. Now, the last thing I want to cover is how bridges in overall music work. And that is basically to help you study and find how to place your bridges. It's something that usually comes in more as a feel. You can kind of just feel where that bridge comes in, and you can just see it, and you can just, like, point it out, like, okay, the bridge needs to be right there. You know what I mean? And sometimes it can be random. Bridges can be random. And we'll cover that in a minute here. But first, let's talk about how we can find them in music. Bridge will always be different from a drop, because we need to know that a drop will always be coming from and have segments of the previous verse or hook that leads into what it's dropping to. A bridge will always be a totally different segment or piece prior to the verse or hook leading into something new. Now, other music that uses a lot of bridges that people may not notice, they say drops, and this is where it gets confusing, is dubstep in techno music. They use a lot of bridges. It is not drops. People say drops. There are drops in there. I will not deny that. But there's a lot of bridges. It is complete random bridges. The whole, most, dubstep and techno music, a lot of techno music, they can be structural, and so is dubstep. I can't say that they're all that way, but a lot and big majorities of them, from listening and studying, they are continuously bridges. Bridges. Now, what I suggest for R&B enthusiasts that want to learn more bridges, I would study a lot of songs that have many transitions and change ups throughout the song, as far as drum pattern changes, melody changes, chord changes, even the singer's melody change to just the general vibe and tempo of the song. If you really study those in many R&B songs with that, you can very understand just what the bridge will speak to you itself pretty much throughout those songs. Once you find out and point out where the bridges are, they can really just speak to you and point out how they work, as much as I have explained. Other than that, that pretty much covers the basics of bridges. Besides that, I would just really stress that bridges have no set home, meaning they can be anywhere. And I will show you that as well, because I'll post my song in the comments. You may have to go through the song list on Reverb Nation, and it'll be called Sound is the name of the beat. And in that beat, I want to leave a little work for you guys. You can simply find the bridges because they will speak out for themselves. But just so you get a strong, very strong, basic idea where they're at. It's R&B beat. It's called Sound, and I'll give you away the first bridge, and it'll help you find them all, because once you hear the first bridge, you know where all of them's at. It is in the beginning song. The intro is the bridge. And that's another thing about bridges. You can use your intros and outros that has bridges, as long as they match with what you're doing. You can use them as bridges. If you build an intro, you could already have built your bridge, as long as your intro as long as your intro matches with the song structure itself, as well as your outro, which should always anyways, because if you do that, then it just doesn't make sense. But then again, sometimes not making any sense in music can be also creative and art, but it's got to be done right. Other than that, I wish best luck for everybody building bridges and ideas. I would love to hear your ideas and thoughts on a bridge. Myself, it's a continuously studying subject. You can never, there's so much to learn about bridges. There's a lot you can do with them. So study them as much as I am. I've had quite a bit of experience with them. It's basically just that little extra piece, like I said, in the song structure that can really change up and make us, average song to great. Other than that, like I said, leave comments. Let me know what you think, and give a listen to that beat and really pick out where those bridges are at. I'm gonna leave the link in the comment below this video. Hopefully I can just post the direct link to the beat. Otherwise, you're gonna have to just scroll down the list on my song list on my Reverb Nation. It'll be right there. Just play sound, and I'll read it again in the in the comments. Other than that, good luck to every other producer out there. Hope to share and hear other ideas from you guys, and I hope this was helpful.